Welcome to RGBA, colorful tech news and reviews. This is episode 81. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. Not long ago, I reviewed the OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock, and I realized yesterday that I was still doing the two-cable dance at home. I have a Thunderbolt display, and for it to plug into my 2017 MacBook Pro, I have to use the adapter that goes from Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3 with the USB-C connector. And at the same time, I was also plugging my Thunderbolt OWC dock into my computer. So I had two cables to plug, and this was getting on my nerves. But I never realized that I could use the Thunderbolt display directly plugged into the Thunderbolt 3 dock. Probably because I tried it once, and either for a High Sierra problem or I don't know what other human error, it didn't work. So I assumed that because I'm going through a dongle, it wouldn't work. So yesterday, I received the Elgato Thunderbolt 3 dock, which I'll keep at work because, long story short, I have a Thunderbolt SSD from Elgato from years ago, and basically it started to fail. I started to copy file on it, and it would like crash in the middle of the transfer or copy files from it. So thankfully, no data loss because I use this only as a temporary buffer. But still, I had problems, contacted them. They say that the drive is not supported anymore. There's no warranty on this anymore, so they cannot do nothing. And I suggested that since this drive they're not able to swap the drive from me, may I get another product instead? Since this drive, when I got it initially, was worth about $400 to $500, I said, can I get like a Thunderbolt 3 dock instead? And I'll ship you the drive so you can do whatever you want with it. But in exchange, at least I have something I can still use. And they agreed. So at work, I had the same problem. I had no dock, so I had one cable for power, one cable for my display, and one cable for a little Satichi dock with a bunch of inputs, like for Ethernet, for USB, and stuff like that. So I had a 3-cable dance there. So basically, at work, I tried everything into a single cable, and it worked, which triggered in my mind, should I try this at home? Maybe it was human error. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it was a High Sierra problem with the display. So I tried again this morning, and voila, it works. Single cable dance at home too. So I'm pretty happy. So this is my cure to the Dongle Town plague. Basically, single cable with a USB 3 dock is the way to go. In terms of reliability, I know people are complaining sometimes that these things are not reliable. For me, it's been super stable. I use a lot. I use it especially at home with the SD card reader. So that's perfect. The OWC, in my opinion, is slightly better because you have more ports. You have the FireWire 800. You have an optical SPDIF port. You have one more USB-C in the back, and you have an SD card in the front. So for my use, at least, it's much better. At work, I don't use SD cards, so it's okay to get the Elgato, which in exchange has in the back a display port. If ever I have a second monitor, I could use that. Don't really need it. Only 2 USB 3 in the back, but still has the gigabit internet, so that's great. And there in the front, there's a USB 3 and a audio in and out, so that's cool. You tested the Belkin, right?
Yes.
So this one had also USB-C in the front, in the front, USB 3. One Ethernet, no FireWire, no SPDIF, only 2 USB in the back. So and a display port.
There was no SD card slot either.
Yeah, exactly. I think the OWC is the only one that has this SD card slot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was super useful. Once you'll get your big camera and you'll start taking big boy pictures, you'll see
pictures. Yeah,
yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So it's an expensive way to cure a plague, but I'm understanding that
calling it a plague is pretty heavy too.
Well, I tried to find a word this morning while making my coffee. Like, we have Dongle Town, we have like the Dongle Life, whatever, a bunch of monikers like that. But like, it's a problem because I hate it when I get home or I get to work and I have to plug or plug 2 cables. And I'm like, I have this piece on my desk that has like a bunch of ports. there must be a way to like go around and basically I'm able to. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Can you plug stuff into your Thunderbolt display? Because the Thunderbolt display has a bunch of USBs in the back and like Ethernet. Can you plug stuff in there and plug in the dock and then plug in your computer? Does it work?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Yes, at work, I was using mostly what the screen gave me, so Ethernet in the screen. But for some reason, I'm sure it's a high Sierra problem once again, because on the Sierra I had no problem whatsoever. Of course, I had another computer before. I had the 13-inch 2015, so maybe that was why. But basically, the Ethernet was super stable on the screen. But since I got a new computer, it wasn't stable at all. So that's why I moved it to the Satichi dock and dock dongle, whatever. And that was much better because every time I would plug it in, it would kind of reset the IP address and everything. So that would be much more reliable. So as of now, I tended to move everything to the Thunderbolt dock simply because once the computer is disconnected, the dock basically unmounts everything, and so you don't have like a hard drive spinning on your desk like all day and all night, for example. Whereas if you plug them directly in your Thunderbolt display, your hard drive on your disk will spin all day and all night. So
and it's one less hoop to go through also.
Yeah.
If you can plug everything in your dock.
Yeah, and if ever there's a problem, it's much more easier to just pull the plug on the dock than pull the plug on the display, because the Thunderbolt display has this little cable in the back which is hard to pull and plug back in. So it's also a little problems. If you have problems, that's how you shut it down. Basically, you unplug it for like a minute or two, and it resets, and then you can plug it back in, which I have to do once in a while. So it's not this perfect stability in terms of display, but all that is since High Sierra. Before that, I had the same display for years and I had zero problem. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to the higher Sierra.
Higher Sierra, yeah.
Yeah, one more level.
And let's hope it's actually a Snow Leopard release.
Yeah, seriously, that would be so good. There were so many problems. A couple of weeks back, I had problems with my USB interface. I even had to make like a video conference with work, and I was on the big screen talking to like the whole company, and my voice was like a robot and everything just because it was full of static. And then 2 days later, I got an update from my Sierra saying that, there was a problem with USB interface. Yeah, okay. Thank you, guy. I don't understand how this can pass through QA at Apple. So it's unbelievable. So let's start with the news now. So Amazon is buying something. Amazon put a ring on it.
That's the show title right there. Episode
title.
Right
there.
Yeah, so I don't know, a couple of weeks back, or this last summer, Amazon was talking about having this service that they come into your house, so they'd have like access to like your door, like the smart door or smart lock, whatever, and they drop the package inside your house instead of dropping it right in front of your door and leaving like very valuable items on your front porch. So now they went out and they bought Ring. So Ring is basically a doorbell, but like a smart doorbell with a camera that rings on your phone, and you can see the picture, the person that just rang the doorbell. You get like the camera feed right away, and you get alerts when you're not home, and a bunch of stuff like that. So I guess this is just a normal step into coming into your home, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah, I don't know if the point of this is just to either get a better integration with the Amazon Key product, or if it's just a way to surveillance their employees or their delivery guys or whatever. So it's not clear, but they were already in a partnership with Ring. So I'm thinking that from a tech company perspective, maybe they had some kind of integration, but they were just like an outside partner. And when you have such partners, you don't allow them full access to your device or full access to your API or whatever. So maybe by buying the company, they were now enabled to have access to the full set of features, and maybe new features that are coming down the pipe that they learned about, but they could not benefit for until Ring decides that this is suitable for third party. So I'm guessing that it's mostly like a feature parity, if you want, issue, and that they really wanted to get their hands on the whole feature set. For what reason, we don't know, but I'm guessing it was more of a technical reason at first. And now since they purchased the company, they can basically require whatever they want from the company. So even if, let's say, their end use was to do some surveillance of their employees, and maybe Ring wouldn't agree to that. Maybe there was a clause in their partnership saying that it has to be like privacy respectful and stuff like that. Now all these agreements go down the drain, and they have full control and full ownership of the company, the partnering, and the use of the Ring technology. So that might be one way.
A funny thing, Ring was on Shark Tank. It's like the American Dragon Den. I think it's called Dragon Den in the UK, Dragon Den here in Canada, and whatever it's called, Shark Tank in the US. But they went in for, I think they were asking like 700. Their evaluation was at like 700,000, and now they just sold for $1 billion. So it goes to show that don't give up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not because you don't make it on Shark Tank that you won't make it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if they got investment from the guys from Shark Tank. Probably not. Yeah, okay, so
that's why everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, they probably went their way to get something else in terms of financing, maybe just a bank loan or something. But now we're seeing that it really pays off in the end. All right, so you put in the show notes in iOS 12 concept.
Yeah, so I saw this on Twitter last night or something. And I don't like getting like too excited about these because they're just concepts and people talk about it. But I got really excited for how's it called? It's called like lock apps. I wouldn't use it, but I just found the principle really cool because I'm looking at my phone and Face ID is already like authenticating if you want, and it's so fast anyways. Like, why can't they do like Face ID per app? Like, I'd say this banking app or messages or whatever, so you wouldn't have to do like the whole dance of Face ID is using to unlock. You just tap the bank app and you're already looking at the phone, so it authenticates you right away, and it opens the app like securely if you want. And if you take my phone and you click on my bank app, you'd get like the Face ID prompt, and then it would shake and say it wasn't working. So it'd be really cool to like per app basis, and the app doesn't have to implement it. Like Apple can implement it a layer in front of it, like right before it. So it'd be kind of cool and really, really secure if you want.
Yeah, I like the idea of having like a setting or something that the developer check on in Xcode, and that will tell Apple that this app is a secured app and you need to do the Face ID dance first, which makes a lot of sense. Some apps are good at this, like requiring your Touch ID or your Face ID when you open them, but some other apps usually allow you to go around the app a bit, find maybe some information, so it's not always perfectly implemented. But if this was a system level setting, that just by granting your app to be of that kind of secured app paradigm, basically you would require the system to do something before the app is launched, would be much better.
And it would be in the way of like Touch ID, you have to put your thumb on the sensor, like go back down. Yeah. But Face ID, you're already looking at the phone if it's open first, so they don't even have to show you the animation of it unlocking. They can have like a little mini. It can be like super quick if you want, like not in the way at all. So that would be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Just while the app is like zooming in, they might have enough time. If not, maybe next version of the Face ID sensor, this would be perfect. Because if you remember, Touch ID was somewhat slow on the first generation.
Right.
And when the second one came, that was like night and day. And that's when you really started to see that everywhere where this was implemented, it was seamless and it was not introducing any more delays. So maybe it will be the same thing. Maybe they can do it right away, depending on how they package it. Maybe there was a way for them to make some optimization. Maybe there's also algorithm, like if you Face ID'd recently, like in the last like minute or whatever, maybe they can do like a Face ID of lower quality, which would be faster, like less points, let's say. I don't know. There might be ways to do it.
And then the other stuff they're talking about as concepts are like a sound bar. You know, a lot of people have been complaining when you turn up the volume when you're watching a video or anything. It's a big overlay in the middle of the screen and it kind of hangs there too long.
Oh, yeah.
So they can kind of do like Instagram is doing. Instagram has it in the upper left notch, if you want, like ear next to the notch, sorry. So it's like a little tiny slider So this concept has it on the top of the screen. It's basically taking like the status bar. So that would be kind of nice. Also,
Yeah, for you. For me, it's not in my left ear. There's no left ear for me. So for me, it's the whole bar. So yeah, it's a way to show you a visual representation without having to block the whole UI. So it makes a lot of sense. And I don't know why it's not system-wide yet.
But in the concept here, it's not taking the little ear. It's taking the whole status bar.
Yeah, which I think is better because it's way too small, no? In the corner?
Yeah, you kind of don't notice it. And then like a couple of times you catch it. You're like, oh, right, they put this here. That's why I don't know what volume meter I'm on right now.
Yeah.
The next feature is guest mode. It's not very relevant, I found, on like iPhones, maybe more on iPads, I guess, if multiple users in school or something, or maybe somebody is using their iPhone, like a family iPhone or something or whatever. It's basically just you like sign in with a different passcode, and you get like a couple of apps that you have access to, and some other apps are grayed out or just not available. So something like that.
Or for any parents, every parents that have a child who played with their iPhone while waiting for something like at a store or whatever,
right?
They always like launch the app or FaceTime somebody or whatever. So this would be a way to strip down.
Right.
Okay, you have access to only like, let's say like maps, weather, and here's a few games, and that's it. The rest is like off limits. So that would be great.
I didn't think about that. It'd be like kid mode.
Yeah, kind of. So this could be integrated into the whole new set of tools that the Apple is working on for the parental controls. Like they were bummed by basically a bunch of investors, including I think a union of teachers in the US, which have lots of investing in companies, and they were like basically pushing for new, better features to do parental controls, and not just like, here's an app that is 4+ years old, so you can use it. But if this one is like 13+, you can't, like, because that's basically what they have right now. But they were mostly like asking for limits on the screen at time, the internet time, and stuff. So timers and basically like slice of the day. So basically like between, let's say, 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. you have access to your full device, but after 7, since it's close to bedtime, you strip down the internet, and maybe after 8 there's no way to use the device. So that's the kind of thing that they're pushing for. So this guest mode could be integrated into that new set of features.
Next feature is an app bar. It's kind of like a drawer. A lot of people have been talking about they want a drawer on iOS to have a couple like favorite apps to be quick switching to them. Okay. I'm really happy with already on the iPhone 10, you can just swipe the home bar. How do they call it? Like the bar at the bottom.
The home indicator.
Home indicator. So you can like swipe the indicator right, and it switches between apps really quickly, like the last app. So I use that a lot, more than I thought. So I guess the app bar could be cool but just go back to your home screen and organize your home screen correctly. And you don't need the app bar.
Yeah. This one is, I agree, it's not the best idea. I would need to see it like maybe in action, like if VTC makes one other super video before the next iOS release. That could be something interesting to look at, like in basically real use case, and not just here's a screenshot of an app bar. Like I don't find it that more useful. Like clicking on the home button or swiping up on the iPhone 10 works, and I already have all my apps, my favorite apps, on the bottom row, so it's easy to just like click on it. Of course, there's a few other apps that I use often that are maybe in folders or whatever. What I try to do every week is reconsider my app placement, and if I realize that I swipe to the second screen too often, maybe let's say 4 or 5 times a week, then this app might be promoted to the front screen. So that's why my screen usually changes by maybe 2 or 3 apps every couple of weeks, because depending on the season or whatever I'm doing at the moment, I'm switching apps. So I don't think the app bar is such a nice feature. I could be convinced otherwise if I see it like in real life, but until we do, I'm not really convinced.
I can see it for if you're in an app and you want to drag something into another app, like you can't go back to the home screen and drop it on. So like get the thing and then open the app bar and drop it on the app. something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not such a power iPad super, let's find all these tricks kind of guy.
Yeah. On the iPad, it works nice with the dock. It could be kind of a mini dock kind of thing. So I could see the benefit from that. Okay, that's right. But still, there's already so many swipes on the iPhone 10, especially, that adding another layer of swiping, like, yeah, already have like ears swiping, which people don't really like because they prefer it to be on the right or the left side, and some people are righties or lefties, and that changes for them, and some of them are already at the wrong place. That adding one more, let's say you swipe from the bottom right, it's very close to the home indicator, so, and it's not really discoverable, so it's going to be more complex for people to grasp it. So I'm not sure it's the best.
And then there's a couple of other features like you want split view, multiple people FaceTime. That I would really like. I use FaceTime a lot. I don't know about you.
Very rarely.
Okay, it's what I use usually to call. Like I have a group of friends that we only FaceTime. Usually we don't really call.
Okay.
And then upgrades to the camera also. So
yeah, camera makes sense because it's weird that all the settings are deep down in the settings app. Like there should be some way to get access to a couple of settings. Like they are showing like resolution, frame rate, like I don't know what the rest is. I think it's like brightness or maybe the exposure and
zoom.
So yeah, zoom. So that you could probably log the zoom and so stuff like that. So yeah, that could make sense.
Or just download highlight.
Yeah. Maybe I would move everything like the flash settings down there too, or something else. So, but yeah, the idea is nice for this one. So after this iOS concept, we also got a macOS concept. This one was made by Alvaro Babecio, which is basically a Behance post that he submitted. It's similar to what you just said. So basically the guy reinvents macOS for macOS 11 with new features, new iOS features kind of thing. So the big redesign is the menu bar, which is now completely gone. And you have the similar concept as the ears on the iPhone 10. So on the top right, you've got your indicators, so Wi-Fi, time, battery, and the what do you call that? The widget and notification bar. On the left side, you got the app, and whenever you would like to, let's say, to get to the window menu, if you put your cursor on this little bar, I'm guessing it would extend. And Siri is also there. There's also a bunch of redesign in terms of he added the control center, which is interesting. It's a way to have access to quick toggles, so like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, stuff like that, volume, calculator, a couple of shortcuts there. And you also have dynamic settings that will only show, let's say, for example, when you're syncing your iPhone, you would see it there. It's a way to basically represent system level actions that you don't really see in a more visual way. And he does the same thing later on with AirDrop and iCloud Sync, so you get a better grasp of what's happening right now in reality in the background. The universal app is, of course, what people were always being afraid of or embracing, depending on who you talk to. So it's basically just showing your iOS apps on your Mac. So be it with the Marzipan project or something else, he basically shows that you can have, let's say, the My Watch app, which is basically the watch app from your iOS device on the Mac. The only difference is that it has a title bar with the title and those 3 dots for the red, yellow, and green button. So makes sense. It's well designed. It's well integrated. He also adds the Siri suggestion for iOS app in the dock. So in your macOS dock, they will show you suggestions that you can use on, let's say, if you're moving from Mac to iOS, like in this work session, it's going to show you like suggestions. Okay, so you're constantly going back to your phone for Messenger, for example. So why not install Messenger on your Mac, or vice versa? If you're on your Messenger on your Mac and you're moving to your iPhone for something else, it's going to suggest you to click here to install an app on your phone. So could be interesting. Could be also a problem because some people have definitive uses of each device. There's a bunch of discussions on Cortex between Gray and Mike Early about having a multi-device lifestyle. This device has only these apps because they are used for this purpose, and this device has these other apps, so you don't like cross-pollinate your apps.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of this. I just want macOS to be stable and maybe give you dark mode just for you because I'm nice, and then
Uh,
an upgrade to messages, but just make it stable and don't touch my work Mac, please.
yeah, I have to agree. But like, I was reading this weekend, I'm like, oh, it's pretty nice. But I'm like, there's no dark mode. And then if you scroll at the end of the post, there is one.
Introducing a full dark mode.
Yeah, so notification would be redesigned, small new icons, new little buttons, stuff like that. And then, yeah, the full dark mode. So every app, every element, perfect for anyone working in a professional photo or video environment. So this, I know this has to come with a major redesign because every component, every windowing, everything has to be redesigned, rethought, and recolored. So it's not just like swapping the colors and you're done. So that's why we won't see it probably for the next OS, unless that's like the only visual feature in the higher Sierra release. That could be it. Like it's not thing that will change the functionality because it's mostly like a Boolean, like 1 or 0 kind of thing. So it's either dark or not. So I think that could be easily integrated without having to introduce many bugs. So that could be one thing to add for the next release. But yeah, I don't believe we'll see it soon. If the next release is just stable one, might be coming to the next one after that.
Yeah, I'm all for these. Like, the features are super nice, and all the like the mock-ups are really cool. But just make it stable first, please. Or if you do this whole redesign thing, it's because you changed the whole architecture and it's super rock solid. Please, super rock solid.
Yeah, I have to agree. He goes on with the Finder, so a bunch of redesign there. The thing that I noted was mostly like the uploading to iCloud. So there's like indicators like bubbles that are appearing here and there in the UI that explains to you, that tells you like what's happening in the background. So that would be required, I think, because iCloud is such like a behind the scene. You don't have any access to anything. You don't know if it's synced. You don't know if whatever you typed was moved to your iPhone. You have to wait, look, oh, it's not there, come back, wait a bit, look, oh, it's not there, come back, oh, it's there finally. So it's not very well done. Weirdly, Dropbox with its little overlay icons makes it so much simpler. I copy a file, I see the little overlay says it's uploading, and as soon as the green checkbox is done, I send the link to my friend, and that's it. It's like there's no guessing game. There's no like back and forth. I know it's there. So if I pull to refresh on my phone, it's there. So there's no question there. So that's nice. The iTunes app, which is renamed Music app, has been redesigned in this mock-up preview, and it's really nice. It takes the same visual elements, so it's a lot less clutter. Also, probably a lot less features. Also, maybe the whole iPod thing is removed and kept in iTunes, which will be like on, I don't know, like just maintained as a support thing and not evolved. Messages also, settings, camera, App Store, iTunes Store, everything is redesigned. So yeah, the links will be in the show notes if you want to look at this concept and give him a thumbs up. So it's pretty nice. Already has 1,500 thumbs up, so that's good. Following that, we also have a little article that basically shows us that you can do so much things with your home screen. It's not just placing your icons like in order of colors or whatever. There's people that are shared what they're doing, which is quite intense. Some of them do groupings by color also, but they also do like groupings by emoji in the folder names. Other people leave blank space at the top. Some people have no icons. So it's crazy like what you can do. And most of these are done with an app, which is called, I don't remember. Do you have the name?
Me neither. I sent it to you. We can find it for the show notes, but it basically takes your background image and then it uses that parts of the image to do little website bookmarks on your screen with that same image, so you don't see it. I don't know if that makes sense. It made sense kind of in my head, but it's pretty complicated. It's easier if we just link to the app.
Yeah, basically you provide the app with your existing background. You pinch to make it full screen with no perspective change. And what the app does is it cuts down a little piece of the background where your icon will be and uses that as the icon and a invisible character as the name. So that this way it seems that you don't have any app icon on your home screen, but in reality you could still click and get somewhere. I don't know where you're going, but you could still click.
So It's Rands. Rads. I don't know what's his real name. I've never said it out loud either, but I follow him on Twitter.
Me
It feels
neither.
weird.
Like Rands and Repose
yeah.
is then this website, but the guy's name I'm not too sure.
It's a famous website. He has a couple of like really famous posts, and I think he even wrote a couple books. He's the VP of engineering at Slack right now, and he worked at a bunch of places. He basically said on Twitter, "I really like seeking others' iPhone's home screen. Keep them coming, or just post your home screen." And the reply thread to that post is huge, and he just took like the best or his favorites and he made it into a blog post. If you check his like mentions, it's full littered with like home screens, so it's pretty cool if you want to have ideas and see what people are doing.
And it will probably be the case for a couple of weeks now. So
yeah,
you're popular and you tend to ask these things, people circle around weeks later.
Yeah, he was retweeting a bunch, I think, on Monday morning, and I was taking the train to go to work. It was so long to go all through all the home screens. I woke up to like, I think 300, not missing tweet, but like 300 tweets in my timeline. I was like, what happened last night?
Wow.
And this happened.
All right, so it's not really a rumor, so we've put it in the news. Basically, Red and Sharp are teaming up to work on a 8K monitor. So by monitor, we don't mean computer monitor. We mean a display that is purposely calibrated and reliable with more information on the color, the exposure that is usually used by a photographer and videographer. Whenever you see like a DSLR with a little screen, a 5 or 6 inch screen on top, that little screen, that's a monitor. So that's what they use to look at the image, exactly how it's captured. These monitors are normally super high quality and they have a great color accuracy. And they oftentimes have also a touch feature, so you can enable or disable different graphs. So you can see the exposure, you can see the color. So that's a way to basically make sure that what you're filming is exactly what you're expecting to film. So a director of photo called Phil Holland basically has right now on his position in 8K television. So the prototype version that has a 7680 by 4320 resolution of 70 inch in diagonal. So he's basically using this and his Red cameras with an 8K sensor to basically play with this and see exactly how it behaves, like if there's problems and whatever. And it's kind of like a beta test basically with some real life people. So I don't know if he was allowed to share that or if it's, I don't know, most probably because there's lots of details. This guy is super interesting to follow. I don't know if you know the guy, Phil Holland. He's basically just posted a couple weeks ago a year in review in 8K. So basically, he did his full videography of the last 12 months in 8K format with his Red cameras.
I can't even imagine the hard drive that takes.
Yeah, it's crazy. And usually 8K is not just like MPEG-4 8K, it's 8K in RAW. So it's like gigs per like minutes, like multiple gigs per minute. So it's something quite intense, and the workflow for these things must be incredible, and the storage you need must be also incredible. So yeah, basically the point is to have something, I'm guessing, for professionals, and maybe also lead the way for eventual 8K television. So that's pretty interesting to see. Sharp is also a company that was always on the forefront of technologies. When LED TVs were coming out, they already had their 4-color pixel TVs on the market. So you had the RGBA, RGBA. You had the RGB, and you had the yellow pixel also to give it a better color accuracy. So that was very interesting. But yeah, in the show notes, I also put a link to the video. It's an aerial video of LA, downtown LA. If you use Chrome browser, you can go up to 4K and 8K. So just for fun, I tried it this morning on my computer on a 2017 MacBook Pro, a Core i7 maxed out. I'm not able to read the 8K video. Like first off, the download, I have a super fast connection, but still, it's not enough. It keeps on buffering. But when it's not buffering, it even stops and jitters because the computer fan goes on and full speed, and this thing has problem just reading the 8K. So understandably, it's Chrome and it's using probably the WebP codec, which is not optimized by the CPU. So if it was like a HEVC video, it would be most probably running much, much faster. but still, it's fun to try. 4K, no problem, but 8K, such a tough thing to work with nowadays computer, even like this year's devices. So I'm not even imagining the workflow he has to endure to get those nice pictures. So it's pretty impressive.
Okay, because 4K on YouTube only works on Chrome.
Yeah, because the 4K and 8K, they use the WebP codec, which is a proprietary codec by Google, and Apple doesn't support it. Firefox doesn't support it, so you're stuck to 1440p basically. So like 1.5K, no 2.5K, whatever, 1.5K. Yeah. So some of the Ks.
Okay, yes, I see it on Chrome now.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So the video is nice. It's not the I never think that night videography like that, especially from afar, gives you a good idea of exactly the details, unless you're really looking at the cars. So it's not the perfect thing. Normally I prefer to see like nature videos where you see the dirt and you see like insects or leaves. Then you can get a grasp of all the textures and everything that you can see now with those high resolution cameras. But overnight photography like that is not the best.
Did you do 4K on your TV? Because you have a big 4K TV.
Yeah.
Can you do YouTube 4K? Or there's no way for you to do it? Maybe directly on the TV?
There was before with the old Apple TV app. I was able to do it. But I'm not sure now that it's available on the new Apple TV, whatever app version they did. But yes, there's also on the TV, there was a YouTube app, was able to do 4K, 4K for Netflix also. But yeah, it makes a huge difference if you're closer. I'm kind of a bit far, so I don't really see much difference, except for the color reproduction where the HDR kicks in. If you have, let's say, somebody like a MKBHD who has super high quality gear, then you can definitely see like better contrast and better colors. And then if you look at HDR optimized content, then it's a whole different thing. Like Narcos, for example, the TV series on Netflix was filmed in HDR and 4K, and you can see it. It's super nice. Like, because I have the exact same Apple, well, not same Apple TV, but the same Apple TV app upstairs and an HD TV, and the same episode, which was quite green to my eyes. I realized, okay, this might be a good subject to compare between 4K HDR and HD non-HDR, SDR they called it. And so I watched the same episodes on both TV, and I see a huge difference. So
I can only imagine in Narcos when they're in the forest and everything there.
Yeah, exactly. So it was quite interesting to see the reproduction of the colors. It's really more alive, if I can say. So moving on to another news, there has been a war raging on for game development on macOS and iOS. For those who are more in the know, you know maybe about OpenGL, which is a set of libraries and tools to do video animations or video graphics on games. And this has been a standard for like forever, since the 90s. And the support we have on macOS is very minimal. Like, it's not even the most recent OpenGL. It's not even an optimized version. It's just like a subset of an older version. So it's super slow. Over the years, the companies basically provide new versions of the OpenGL framework, if you want, and that allows them to push the limits of the hardware even further. But Apple made Metal. So they say, if you want to make games on iOS and macOS, use Metal. But game developers already use OpenGL because it works on Windows, Linux, Android, and whatever other platform. So they don't want to learn a new language or new set of libraries and make their code basically like a spaghetti code saying, if it's this hardware, do these functions. If it's this hardware, do this function. Or worse, make a standard function of their own that does basically like one or the other. So it's going to be complicated to do. It's going to be prone to problems. There's going to be bugs also. So they don't really like it. But Apple has no intention of delivering OpenGL because they have their own stuff. So take it by a company to basically do it. And they basically will release the Vulkan GPU API for macOS and iOS. And the initial benchmarks we have right now basically show a 50% performance increase over OpenGL. So this will allow companies to release games that are much more advanced, like much more like games from this year and not the games from like 4 years ago on macOS, and do not require them to rewrite the whole set of code completely in a separate language. So this will have great benefits for gaming on macOS, and eventually moving on to iOS. Usually big studios who make a game for Windows and for Linux and often distributed via Steam, they can now take maybe 95% of the code and port it to macOS and iOS in a way that will be much easier for them to bridge the gap, basically. And also it's the same technology that works on consoles, so Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, so it's going to be reusable for everywhere. So it's going to be quite interesting to see where this is going in the next 6 to 12 months. Moving on to the Tesla Model 3 review, Engadget posted a full video review with an article on their review of the Tesla Model 3, basically. I can say that Tyler was right. Most of the car things are good. Most of the control things are bad. So too many controls to push, needs more hardware buttons. Of course, there's no dash behind the steering wheel, so that's pretty weird for many people. And right now, there's only the long range version, so you only have like the bigger battery for now. So the cheap version that could be like below 30,000 is not available. So that's like just a summary of the whole thing. The car is nimble, super fun to drive. The car part is great. Like that's working super fine. The software part is not there yet. There's a bunch of features missing that you either have on the Model S or that they were promised and just not delivered yet. But Tesla keeps saying, no worries, it's coming up, like in software updates over the air. So by their track record on the Model S, there were so many features delivered over the years on most of the owners of those cars that I'm not worried. It should be easy to do for them to do. They just focused on the car for now, and the software will come eventually. So, but once again, people say don't buy something for promised feature, buy it for its existing feature.
Oops.
So yeah, oops. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. And basically, it's exactly what people were fearing. Like the hardware seems nice. To my eyes, looks better than the Model S. I don't see any seams that are unequal or any like panel that are not aligned. So it seems to be on par with quality of other companies in terms of the car part. But the software, like the big panel, I like the big screen. But looking at the guy trying to change, let's say the cruise control distance and change the temperature, like he was basically like picking the screen with his finger and rarely hitting the touch target. So there's also UI element to that. Like maybe the buttons are not big enough. Maybe there's too many features. Maybe the features that you are mostly using are hidden below menus. So there's still UI work to be done there, to my eyes. But thankfully it's a screen. So as we know with iOS and other mobile OS, you can always change that in the future. So there's still hope, but it's not the perfect car right now. Any thoughts?
No. Did you ever see one in Montreal yet?
I think I only saw one, but I was going past it on a skateboard, so I haven't stopped. So that's the only one I could see. But like I see so many Model S. Like just last Sunday, I did my usual groceries and everything, and I saw 6 Tesla Model S. So it's like, geez, man, there's so many around. And I don't live like in a super rich suburb, so it was on highways and it was like on little roads. So it's like there tend to be a couple in Brossard. I know that a couple of years back, a year ago, I met with a Tesla representative who came for a demo day in Distrant, and he basically said that there were 30 Model S and Model X in Brossard. Well, that's interesting, but out of a city of 70-something thousand people, it's not that much, but still, to see 5 on the road in the same day, 6 on the road in the same day, and it starts to get on my nerves because I don't have one.
I see it. I find like I see a ton, so I'll try to count it next week one morning to see how many I have like a 15 minute car ride to the train, and then just walking downtown, we'll see.
All right.
It's our homework.
Yeah, homework for next week. Let's hope we're better than ATP and we do our homework. All right, so let's bring back from the dead a segment that was once very popular on this podcast. A long time ago, in past ages, we had the social app network of the week. So where every week we had a new social network of some kind. We had Peach, we had other things and whatever. And when it was dead, because for a while there were no new social networks. But this week we have a new one. It's called Vero. It's a social network for artists, content creator. It's not very clear. There's a bunch of problems with it because people were jumping on it because they said that the first 1 million users will have the app free for life, and they're trying to do a business model of a paid. I don't know if it's monthly, daily, or if it's a whatever in-app purchases, but they try to make like they don't want to show you any ads. They just want you to pay for the access of the network, and so it's unclear. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know the way they're gonna do it. The app looks nice. I jumped on it because I wanted to reserve my username, but there's no real username. There's just like your full name. So it's quite weird, and also because they said that the first 1 million people will be free for life, everybody's tried to register. So for a couple of days, it was impossible to just register, get your confirmation code by SMS or the email or whatever. So was a pain, but yeah. So I don't know. It's and also now there's some backlash because it seems that the businessman behind this is the son of the former assassinated Lebanese Prime Minister, Hariri. So there's like, are we using an app made by somebody who has ties to shady businesses and oppressing regimes? So it's very weird. So it's not as light as Peach, for example, when it came out. It was just fun and original.
Yeah, I too. I don't even think I opened the app yet. I just reserved my username like you do, and I wanted to get into the first 1 million or whatever to get it free for life if ever it picks up. But I don't think I have high hopes for this one.
Yep, me neither. So we got a public service announcement from the good friends at Elevation Labs. Elevation Labs are makers of great accessories for your Mac and iOS devices. Just right now on my desk, I've got 3 of those devices. I've got the Elevation stand for my Thunderbolt display. So it's a piece of aluminum that raises my display by about 2.5 inches. And I have the Elevation dock version 4. And I also have the Battery Pro, which is a battery pack with a watch. What do you call that? Like the charging puck, whatever, integrated. So which is for real, the first time I was really in need of it was this week, and I said, geez, I have exactly what I need for that. So long story short, I washed my watch band and I forgot to put the watch on the charger during the night. So in the morning I had like 17% battery left. So I said, no problem, I'll just bring my Battery Pro at work, and once I get to work I just put my watch on the charger for a little half an hour to an hour and I would be done. And that's what I did. It was perfect. So basically they're saying that Amazon is complicit with counterfeiting. So there's right now a Chinese counterfeit company who basically copies their, what's it called, the anchor. It's a kind of a very similar to a boat anchor in terms of its shape, but it's a rubber thing that you stick under your desk, on which you can attach your headphones. So when you want to put your headphones away, you just attach them below your desk and that little holder thing is there. But the Chinese company basically copies everything. Like you can see that the Amazon page has the same, like the company behind it is Elevation Lab. The title is the same. They even call it the original, and everything is as you would think it was really a Elevation Lab product, except that it's in small in the middle, said sold by Suning Dong whatever company and fulfilled by Amazon. So this company basically copied the product, but they made so many changes that is super cheap quality, and they shipped like thousands of them to Amazon fulfillment centers, and Amazon just close their eyes on this and sell it for fun on Amazon. But the thing is that they sell it underpriced. So, but not by much, like by 2 cents. So just 2 cents below the original product, but is enough for people who sort by price, or for Amazon to showcase the cheapest one to make them do the sales. So it's pretty impressive that Amazon lets this go away so easily. There's a bunch of explanation of how they could do it better, especially if it's a brand that's already in their system, that's already in their fulfillment center. It's very easy for them to just see what's happening and exactly how to prevent this from happening. And also, since this picked up steam on Engadget, CNET, TechCrunch, and John Gruber posted about it, they released a coupon code called Trust that gives you a 20% off any product in their own store. So that's pretty impressive. I hope this gets resolved, because this is a small company from the West Coast, and they make amazing products of top quality. The rubbers, the metal parts. You also have a couple of those ducts.
Yep.
So it's rare that you see such an amazing company in terms of quality of product. For me, my top 2 companies are like that is Elevation Lab and Studio Neat. They both make amazing product, and they are a small company that I really like to encourage. So yeah, basically the links in the show notes, so you can see exactly what they mean and the details and everything. And even the box, like they just like photocopied the box and put a label on top of the Elevations Lab barcodes. So it's just awful. So we have a couple of rumors, it seems, in the show notes.
Yay.
Yay, Rumor Corner.
So Mark Bloomberg.
Mark Bloomberg, nice.
Yeah. No.
That's a nice one.
Mark Gurman from Bloomberg. I don't know
better.
why everybody's stumbling on his name recently.
But Bloomberg is a name, so it's understandable.
He should have stayed at 9 to 5 Macker. It would be easier for us.
Yeah, much easier.
So he is speculating on the next iPhone, obviously, because we're in March and it's only going to come out in September. So we have to start talking about it. The rundown, if you want, or like the super fast review or summary, is a iPhone 10 Plus. So iPhone 10, but like second generation, and a iPhone 10-ish, but cheaper.
Okay, so 3 new iPhone 10s.
Yep.
That's nice. And the iPhone 10 Plus would be 6.2, 6.5 inch?
Yeah, just stupid huge.
Yeah, 6.5 inch. That really gets close to the 7.9 of a iPad mini. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like, would I get it like an iPhone 10 2 or if iPhone 10 2 Plus? I don't know. Seriously,
the names are horrible. iPhone 10 2 Plus.
Yeah, no, 10 2, 10 3, 10 4. Roger that. It's going to be something quite impressive to in terms of naming conventions where they're going with that. I seriously hope they just drop the numbering and just, here's the iPhone 10, here's the iPhone 10, here's the iPhone 10, and that's 3 different years. Like, we understand. Like, the iPad Pro is the iPad Pro, the iPad Mini is the iPad Mini. Okay, now they still have like Mini 4, whatever, but they kind of dropped that over time. And yeah, they should really stop with the numbering. But yeah, 6.5 inches is huge. I don't know how useful that could be. So I think the sweet spot would be between the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 10 Plus. So, but then that's one device, and there's people who wants bigger. So yeah, I don't understand.
And also the iPhone 10 cheap would be cool. The Face ID for everybody, and well, more people, not everybody. And they can just switch back to an OLED screen. LED screen instead of OLED.
Yeah, that's what the Google did with the Pixel. So they have one with an OLED and one with the regular LED. And I think Samsung did the same thing with the S9. So
no,
yeah, it's no.
No,
both
I think
S9 and S9 Plus.
Yeah, Samsung are like super OLED. They make the screens for everybody, you know?
Yeah, true. And they also get the best rating from that DisplayMate, I think. So their displays are really top of their game right now.
Top of the notch.
Top of the notch, yeah. Oh, don't start with the notch. There's a bunch of people adding notch to their devices, but the notch is now smaller and stuff like that. So let's keep that for another show because that's a whole kind of worm I don't want to open today. So we also have a rumor of it's a patent that Apple was granted with an OLED screen as a keyboard for MacBooks. So think of the touch bar, but make it bigger, wider, and replace all your keys with that thing. No, that's all I have to say. Never do that. Never sell that. This would be, I think, the worst computer peripheral of history. It's crazy how a keyboard is important to have a tactile feedback and not just like vibrate when you tap a key, but really like feel the keys. Like, I don't know. I'm guessing that people who like on-screen keyboards are people who doesn't know how to type. Like they just do like single finger picking on the keyboard. And they look at the keyboard, so for them it makes no difference. Like a key or a keyboard, a key or a screen, no difference. But as soon as you know how to place your hands and type like a touch typist, you need to feel the keys. You need to place your hands. Like when I don't type, I make subtle movement of my hands around the keyboard just to align myself. I look for the F and the J keys to get the little bump there to see if my fingers are well placed. If I use the arrow keys, I use my pinky finger to just look at, am I on the left arrow or top arrow? So physical feeling is of utmost important. You cannot just drop this and say, let's put a keyboard on the screen and that's it, we're done. So no, never.
No, me neither. I know a lot of people like typing on glass, and a lot of like kids are coming up typing on glass right now on iPads, and eventually it's going to be a thing, but I'm going to stick to my physical keyboard, please.
Totally agree. And now we're introducing a new corner once again. This one I just decided this morning is going to be called the Adventure Corner.
Yeah, I know. I just saw this.
So we often have like little experiences, like in-store adventures, Apple or not, and we're going to just call this Adventure Corner and just give out a story that happened to one of us recently. So the mic is yours.
Yeah, so I have to host this new corner I just was made aware of.
No problem. You're good at this.
Okay, so Wednesday night, I was at where was I? Anyways, I was at hockey, and I realized I was walking into the arena or whatever, the rink, and I realized that my watch was kind of flapping, if you want. Like the whole bottom of the screen was loose and flapping up. So I took it off and checked it out, put it in my pocket, taped it up, so it doesn't move, and put it in my pocket. And then I had to play, and I came back at home at 1 o'clock. So then I started really taking off the tape and looking into it, what was wrong. And my battery kind of expanded. So I was in panic mode. I started chatting with Apple support at 1 a.m, and I got myself a Genius Bar interview. Not interview, but meeting. Appointment? How do you call them?
Appointment.
Yeah, so I got an appointment the next day at 4:30. I had to go downtown because my local Apple store was only having appointments in 3 days. So today, basically. And I wanted to do this on Thursday, and we're Saturday. So appointment is 15 minutes late because they're always late at the Apple store. It's kind of like their new thing.
Oh, yes, always.
That's a whole another subject. The appointment's at 4:15, and I passed at 4:31. But anyways, I had to catch a train, so I ran, but it's all good. It's all good because of the watch is going to be fixed for free because there's this Apple extended battery repair program. We heard about it this last April, I think.
Yep. That was when they announced it.
So my watch is covered under that, and I'm expecting to get a new one. They said 1 to 2 weeks. So now I'm watchless for 2 weeks.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah.
But also, it wasn't clear. You have a Series 0, and this covers the Series 0. But are you going to get a new Series 0 or a Series 1?
Right.
It's still not clear because I think you sent me your bill and it says that it identified your watch as a Series 0.
It says
but
original.
The replacement,
Yeah,
original. But the replacement will be Series 1. So And then there's also the whole.
It doesn't say the replacement will be Series 1. It says I have a Series 1. And
Okay.
talking about series, I went into like a whole argument with I wanted to know, because I asked the genius, I'm like, am I getting a series, like an original like I have now, just refurbished or replaced the battery in this one, the actual watch I have? And he said probably not, because batteries are like sensitive and it might have broke something else, and we usually replace them, but usually. Okay. So I'm kind of sad because I wanted to keep the original one, so I'm kind of hoping to just replace the battery, so I have a brand new battery but the same exact watch.
Yeah, but you know, the Series 1 is the Apple Watch that should have been, but wasn't there because they tried to put up like the most performant watch they can, but they weren't able to put in all the new tech they wanted into the CPU, so it was slower than they were hoping for. Because once you jump to Series 1, then you have a feel for a good first generation product. So it's not that bad. Like if you get a Series 1, I can swap it with mine if you want. You'll get a free crack screen watch.
That's right. Yours is cracked.
Yep.
Yeah. So then I was asking, am I gonna get a original one or a Series 1? And then he said, well, this is a Series 1, so you're going to get another Series 1. And as soon as he said that, I said, uh-oh, here we go. And then you don't want to be that guy like, no, this is not a Series 1, this is a Series 0. But the Apple Store doesn't like acknowledge that Series 0 is a name. And I was like, this is the original one. He says, yes, I know. We sell the original one. I was like, no, you don't sell the original one anymore. Series 1 came out a year later. And then it got kind of heated. He's like, look, I'll show you the lineup on the website. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll just get whatever I get. And then another genius had to step in and say, no, he's right. If he has the original, it's not the Series 1. There's the original and Series 1. They're two distinct products. And then he was like, oh, I didn't know. Nah. It was just complicated. I just hate being in that situation of trying to trying to out-genius the genius. Trying to explain without being like a huge
yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, this is a whole new discussion, but one day I'll go over my years as a at Future Shop, where I was going there just because I had nothing to do, and I was hanging out in the tech section, and I was arguing with all the vendors there because they didn't know their computers. So yeah, that was a fun couple of years when I was a kid. But yeah,
I didn't want to be like snarky or whatever. I just wanted to know what are you replacing this with?
Yeah, just because you wanted to know, like, is it going to be fixed or is it going to be replaced, exchange, and do I get like the Series 0 or 1? Like, simple question, like just yes, no, yes, and that's it. But yeah, that's how it starts usually.
And then when it starts, I don't want to just be like, okay, whatever. Yes, you're right, because because I know I'm right. I don't argue often, and my girlfriend kind of knows it. When I argue, it's because I know I'm right. So when I'm arguing, I should have told him, like, no, you don't know me. When I'm arguing and I just don't say okay, it means I know for 100% that I know what I'm talking about. I won't argue if I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So all in all, it's good. It's all replaced and free. So we're just waiting to get it back.
Perfect. But now the wait is the worst part, because you are watchless for 2 weeks.
And also I realize how much I use it and how much I rely on it. So it's like good that this watch that I bought for too much money is like justified. Yes, I do use it. Yeah.
Yeah. You might not use all of the features because since it's a Series 0, a bunch of features are too slow, but you really use it in your day-to-day and your workflow. If you're like me, you probably use it for certain notifications and some type of filtering, like mark as done or postpone or stuff like that. But one of the things I use it the most is for temperature and for the calendar. So I know what my next appointment is, my next business meeting or whatever. So
business meeting, you sound so official.
Oh yeah, I'm such a businessy guy. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, how is it now that you're left or you're right? I don't know where you put your phone in your pocket. It's now vibrating. How do you feel about that?
No, that was the weirdest part. Yeah,
that's crazy, huh?
Yeah. And also, yeah, I'm not trained anymore to have my phone vibrate. When it vibrates, it's because it's a call. Like, the call vibrates on your wrist and your phone basically at the same time. So anytime I get a vibration, I'm like, who's calling? And then I realize it's only a text or a Slack message or whatever notification.
Yeah.
And I'm not trained to be aware of what's happening in my pocket anymore. So I don't miss, but I just ignore a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Same thing for me. A couple of times that I forgot to put my watch or for some reason I had to go outside and work on the lawn and I didn't have my watch. And then my pocket started to vibrate. It's always like, oh, panic mode. What is it? But it's like, no, just a mail or just like some random Slack notification or random, like, I don't know, like
reminder,
anything that is reminder or whatever. Yeah, whatever, which is not requiring my full attention. But now it's like, ooh, it's a call. I must check. So, and also because it's a Series 0, my watch, if I get a call, I look at my watch and it takes a good second or two before the number appears. So it's always faster for me to just take my phone out and look at it. So that's my reflex. So yeah, we are badly trained with that now.
Yeah, I have the reflex to like, I wear it on my left arm, left wrist. And I have the reflex to always like bring that wrist inside when I'm going through doors or anything, so I don't knock it on the side of the door or I always just have like the reflex of protecting the watch and keeping it inside close. So it's funny now that I don't have it, that I'm going like I'm walking around in the kitchen and I keep it in to not hit it on the side of the counter or next to a chair or whatever. And like, who knew? I really like having the time on my wrist also.
Yeah, it's something that's kind of useful sometimes.
Yeah, and then unlocking the Mac also at work all the time. I keep hitting the space bar and just sitting and waiting for it to unlock, and then I have to type my password like an animal. That's another thing I'm missing. I use it a lot to like skip ahead or skip back in podcasts if I just miss something someone said, or also to just see how much time is remaining in the show.
Yeah, all these things are quite useful.
Yeah.
So we kind of get used to this little watch, and now that you don't have it, I can totally understand why you have problems with that. And I'm thinking the same thing. Like, I don't use my watch that much.
Yeah,
there's a few features.
Take it off
for
like 2-3 days, you'll see.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, if I stop you wearing it, what happens? Like, am I gonna miss it? Am I not gonna miss it? Can I just go back to the regular phone? And I kind of feel like I need it. Like, it's so much a big part of my routine, my day-to-day, not just because I was always a watch wearer. So before the Apple Watch, I always had some kind of a wristwatch. So for me, it's just normal to have something there. But worse than that is I'm used to the weather there, with current weather, the meetings, and like just notifications that come in while I do my coffee. I can just look at my wrist, like, okay, not important. I'll look it up later. So
yeah, I really like that part about the watch. Like, I can see, okay, this is a notification I just received, text or Slack, and I really don't have a lot of notifications, so it's good. Also, it's not constantly buzzing, so I see, oh, is this important? Do I have to address it now, or can I just wait 5 minutes when I sit down and do it on my computer, which is much faster for me than on my phone usually.
Yeah, totally understand. All right, that's it for episode number 81. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/81. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. You can find me on Twitter at Vallier, VALLIER,
And you can find me on Twitter at Tyler Menard, TYLER MENARD.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.